Anthony Joshua and his hypocrisy and scatterbrained statements continue. This time in talking about his trainer, Rod McCracken. Let's talk about that in this video. All right. Welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Much love to everybody on the Patreon. We got the Jay-Z controversy video up. Definitely go check that out on Patreon. Also, I want to say thank you to everybody that supports in the channel. Much love. This video goes out to my man Jay Good, who supports on a regular basis in the live streams all the time. Thank you, sir. Live streams Monday through Friday, around 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, 8 a.m. for OG Boxing Talk on Sundays at 8 a.m. All right, so let's get into this. You know, there's a guy named Anthony Joshua who was previously the IBF World Champion, the WBA World Champion, and the WBO World Champion. And then he got into the ring with Andy Ruiz and got knocked down both times and quit up against the ropes in New York City, and all that came crashing down. In the aftermath, many people, George Foreman being the one that comes to my mind most, said that he would help him coach. There's a bunch of guys that said, look, you got to get rid of your amateur coach. Okay. Your amateur coach could be part of the problem. You're out there wherever you are in the UK training in an amateur facility, fighting amateur guys, right? You have Rod McCracken, who is, I do believe, a national coach for the UK, Frank Warren. And we know Frank Warren is steadily looking for a reason to criticize. But in this one, I think he's accurate. He said, look, this guy, the coach, Rod McCracken, is double dipping as the national amateur coach and a professional coach, doing it in the same facility. Why would Anthony Joshua, a world-class professional fighter, still be with a trainer in the amateurs? Right? So a bunch of people are saying after the dude gets knocked down 4 times and quits, spits his mouthpiece out, that you might want to consider a new trainer, because also he hasn't looked that good since the Vladimir Klitschko fight. The Vladimir Klitschko fight, he got decked by an old man. But in Carlos Takam fight, he didn't look that good. He didn't look that good in the Joseph Parker fight. He didn't look that good in the Alexander Povetkin fight. I think those are they, right? You had Vladimir Klitschko, then Carlos Takam, then Joseph Parker, then Alexander Povetkin, and obviously he didn't look good in the fight against Andy Ruiz. Now, why would you want to stay loyal to that trainer, right? Anthony Joshua says, hey, I'm not getting rid of him because of loyalty. Here's the problem though. Rod McCracken wasn't his head trainer up until after he won the IBF belt. Anthony Joshua was trained by somebody else, a guy named Tony Sims, I believe his name was. All the way from the time he turned professional up until the fight with Carlos Molina, which was after he won the IBF belt. They brought in Rod McCracken. Rod McCracken was the former trainer for Carl Froch. They brought him in late in the latter part of his career. And by the way, he brought him in, and I think he's been with 7 fights? I think he's been with Rod McCracken for like 7 fights. Eric Molina, he was with him for Eric Molina, Vladimir Klitschko, Carlos Takam. Who did he fight after Carlos Takam? Joseph Parker. Then he fought Alexander Povetkin and Andy Ruiz. He's only been with them 6 fights. This, I'm telling you, I think this dude is completely scatterbrained, man. This guy is somebody that will say anything. And I think he will say anything instead of dealing with the reality, man. Now he's saying stay loyal to a trainer, when he actually fired his previous trainer to get with this guy, the guy, Rod McCracken, he's not shown any progress. He's not shown any progress with Rod McCracken. Then he says, besides that, before that, he says that Andy Ruiz knocked him out with a lucky punch. Lucky punch. A lucky punch knocked you down 4 times. It was what he said specifically was, lucky punch sent from the gods. Well, first of all, if it was sent from the gods, it wasn't lucky. Okay? Because the gods don't deal in luck, regardless. That punch didn't land 4 times in 2 separate rounds. And the many other punches that landed that he didn't knock him out. How would he learn? He landed lucky combinations? Dude, this guy is in La La Land, man. This guy is in La La Land. Eddie Hearn. This guy must be owned by Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn, the guy's offered $50 million. This is another example of this. Anthony Joshua was asked for $50 million for Deontay Wilder. I know this isn't a pleasant topic for many AJ fans, but it is what it is. He was on having a interview, I do believe it was IFL TV and Coogan Cassius, and he said, hey, how much is 60% of $100 million? Wow, that's a crazy question. He said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, you give me $50 million and I'll sign the contract tomorrow. Right after that, he changes he flips again and he says, I'm not selling my soul. I'm not selling my soul for $50 million. This is the guy that's saying that he really, really wants to fight with Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder needs to be financially realistic. Also, you find out that that Pulev, while he's saying road to undisputed with Andy Ruiz, you find out that they're already in negotiations with Eddie Hearn's already in negotiations with Alexander Pulev to have that fight. The big hurdle that happened again in the lead up to that was Anthony Joshua getting knocked down 4 times and quitting up against the ropes. And yeah, I'm going to repeat that forever. Now he says, hey, I don't have any, besides that, he says, hey, I don't have any issue. I want to go back to New York City, the scene of the crime. Eddie Hearn says, hey, Anthony Joshua gets to decide where the fight's going to be. Now, Anthony Joshua starts off with, I'd go to New York. Let's go to the scene of the crime. Then he says, hey, man, I'll fight as hard as I can to get this fight in Cardiff. Now, if Eddie Hearn is really keeping the wishes of of Anthony Joshua, then why did the fight get announced for Saudi Arabia? This guy Anthony Joshua is absolutely positively scatterbrained. If this guy doesn't get his act together and just learn how to say what you mean, man. I've listened to people on YouTube who have channels that know Anthony Joshua and used to interview. And actually, it's EJ Boxing Live. So let me give the guy his credit. EJ Boxing Live, I was listening to a live stream for EJ Boxing Live. He talked about Anthony Joshua, and he talked about how Anthony Joshua, when he first started interviewing him before he got big, that Anthony Joshua was the type of guy that took care of everybody around him, picked up the bill for everybody, everybody around him. But as time moved on, Eddie Hearn started taking more and more and more control over Anthony Joshua's career. And now it's readily apparent to everybody involved, that Eddie Hearn is the one that is making the decisions for Anthony Joshua. I'm sure Eddie Hearn had something to do with him changing trainers from Tony Sims to Rod McCracken. But do you think that Eddie Hearn is the type of person that's going to reevaluate the direction that this thing is heading? Why would you continue to work with a guy who you're not showing any improvement in? He's not shown any improvement from the Eric Molina fight through now. I've not seen any improvement. I've seen his hands get lower. I've seen him try to do different things. I've seen him try to fight on the back foot and act like Roy Jones Jr. with his hands all low and get caught and knocked out. I've seen him fight looking like he's getting hurt with body shot. Looked like he got hurt with a shot to the shoulder by Joseph Parker. The guy's out there like this huge bodybuilder putting on massive amounts of muscle, and flames out, tires out towards the end of the fight. Look, man, if Anthony Joshua was going to stay with Roddy McCracken, I don't get why he would. And even the fact that the guy worked with Carl Froch, he worked with Carl Froch. What happened to Carl Froch when Carl Froch got in there with the top level American? He lost. But if you're going to stay with the guy, at least tell the truth. Just, Eddie wants you to stay with him and you ain't got any choice. But don't claim loyalty when you fired a guy or you moved him into a secondary role. And I don't even know if he's with his team anymore, that had been with you since the beginning of your professional career through you getting a championship. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Also, got some Cuban cigars just for a couple special people, man. We're going to work out a way to ship them, to give them to you, man, as a thank you from the channel. Got some Monte Cristos and some Cohibas. So keep your lookout for that. And with that, I'm out. Peace.